Well, today we're enjoying a time of conversation with a longtime friend of mine, Ney Bailey.
Long time.
Ney Bailey. It really is Ney.
That's right.
Ney Bailey.
Named for my father's mother.
Are you really? My goodness. Ney, we met each other way back when, and even back then, in the 70s, you were with Campus Crusade.
I was.
Yeah.
Since 1961.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that puts you in the time when the Earth's crust was cooling.
Right. It was actually the first 100. I was in the first 100 of Campus.
Is that what it's called?
Right. Well, we call it that.
Yeah. So there was a group that sort of came around Bill Bright, and you built your lives around a brand new ministry.
That's right.
Had no idea where it would go.
No. I remember he stood up one day and said he was praying for 1,000 staff. And all of us thought, oh no, that'll never happen. Now there are hundreds of thousands all over the world.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I remember I didn't know him, but when the founder of the seminary where I attended, Dallas Seminary, Dr. Schaefer prayed that if the school would ever get to 100, it would be the dream fulfilled for him. And
that.
now it's well over 2,000, but
it.
for him to think of 100, it was just amazing. And Ney, you have had, my goodness, experience here
Right.
in the States
That's right.
and abroad. Just a quick little panoramic view of your life. When you were early on with Crusade, your role was what?
I was at the University of Arizona in training,
All right.
and then I went to start the personnel department because Bill was now human resources.
Right. Was it in Mound, Minnesota back then? Or?
Well, that's where we first went to the training.
Right.
We had no human resources, and I had been an adoption caseworker, and I thought this is the most wonderful thing I've ever heard of. And they didn't have a process that was as good as the organization, so I helped set that up.
Isn't that
And I was there
great?
for 6 years, and then traveled to campuses, and then.
So when you say travel to campuses, you would go from one to another, mainly in the United States?
Yes,
Okay.
and help the women.
And you ministered with the women,
Right.
all right? Like with sororities?
Anybody.
Anybody,
Yeah.
okay.
The people, the staff on the campus, we would supervise the staff,
Yeah.
and they would get the groups together.
Got it.
So it was
And
multifaceted.
then you got involved in international
I did.
work, and what prompted that?
I got a call from a dear friend of mine who said they were having a conference near Vienna and invited me to come. All the people that were working, all the women that were working secretly behind the Iron Curtain.
Okay, stop right there. What year would that have been?
That was early 90s, like 91.
Okay, so
No, it was in the early 80s.
yeah, it had to
Sorry,
be
early
because it was
80s,
before the
about
curtain,
81.
and for the curtain, all of that fell. So everything you did had to be done very surreptitiously.
Right.
I read that word somewhere the other day. You had to really do it undercover.
Yes, even their countries, those that were in Poland and Czechoslovakia, they all had code names. They could not even say the name of where they worked. So it was.
Could they use their own name or not?
Some did, some didn't.
I see.
They were in there like studying English or.
Okay. Now,
Undercover.
when you, with your passport, got across the line and went into the area behind, how did you do that? You couldn't say, I'm going to teach the Bible, or I'm going to go over here to, have studies with women who were interested in spiritual things. How did you handle
Well,
it?
after that first conference, they said, "Nay, we've arranged for you to go into Romania." And I remember at the border, they said, "We have to cleanse ourselves." I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "We have to look on everything we've got, the purses, and be sure we have nothing that says Jesus, nothing that says Christ, and just
Really?
go in like tourists that
So you couldn't have a Bible?
couldn't have a Bible."
Oh, all right.
And went in.
Helped that you had it all memorized, didn't it?
I wish.
I wish. I've often thought about that, how handy that would be at a time, maybe in the future, when we're not allowed to have Bibles, and a person steps up and quotes the book of John or
There's
something.
some that can do it.
There are. So when you were there, were you afraid?
Yes, it was very scary. I remember
Yeah.
the first night in a hotel. We were in Budapest on the way into Romania,
Right.
and we walked into the dining room, and there were like 500 communist soldiers in there, and they asked us to dance. They asked us to do all kinds of things. And that night, at 2:00 in the morning, we heard on the door, scared us to death. There was a drunk man out there trying to get in our room, so the person I was with, we shoved a table up against the wall, a chest up against the wall, and just stayed very silent.
To block the door.
Yes, to block the door. So it was scary in lots of ways.